What is up, faux reelers? We are back with the Ross report for week 6. We'll do this a little differently this time just because we got a lot of fucking crybabies that are whining because they don't like what I say about their team or they don't get, fair coverage. So listen, we'll do a two-parter. We'll start off with the snowflake version for Hubba and Paul likes to complain and Niall and all them. So we'll do the snowflake version, be quick, and then we'll get back into part 2 where we'll talk about the actual what's really happening in the league. So to start off, everyone is great. Kudos to everyone, even the folks that lost. I know that I felt fantastic. Even though I lost to fucking Eric, I felt great. I felt like my team did everything it could do, and that's all that matters. Everyone's fucking great. Let's take a look at the standings. In the South, first place is Niall and Tim. Fantastic. In last place is Tyler. Don't worry, buddy. That's also fantastic. Good job for being in last place. It's similar up in. I know the numbers are weird, and when you look at standings, it's not really fair because it'll tell you if you just look at the numbers and the results, it'll tell you that someone's better, some team or some manager is better than someone else. But we don't believe that here, do we? No, everyone's fucking equal. Everyone's great. So even though Phil is 4-2 and scored nearly 700 points, which is about 270 points more than the last place team, Paul. You guys are both awesome. I think it's a great job putting together these two fucking powerhouse squads, and I'm excited to get to the end where everyone just shakes hands and agrees we're going to split the money with everybody because we're all awesome. So, great job, everybody. Good job in week 6, and good luck in week 7. All right, so let's go on to part 2, where I actually break down the truth and talk about everyone's teams. The other side of that is they sell laptops, they sell mics on Amazon. Pretty easy to get. You don't really have to have a microphone. Hubba, I don't even know if you have internet out where you live, but if you did, you can do this. You can join my show. You can talk. You can argue with me. We can do all this. I've asked a couple times, but feel free to put on your own propaganda about how great everything is, if you like. But until then, here's what you got. In the North, it's really not close if you look at it, score wise, overall scoring. Al significantly outscored everybody. He scored just under 742 points, which is about 50 points more than Phil. Phil does have a better record. Looking at the division, though, the problem is Phil has a better division record, and that's how he split the tiebreaker. So Al's got a real good chance to jump out of that second spot because he scores at a higher clip. But it does matter in this league who you beat and when you beat them. So, Al was 3-2 in the division. Phil was 4-1. That makes a pretty big difference. And I brought that up when Eric was, excited about his victory. Oh, good job on the victory, man. I did lose to Eric, but again, we're all it's all good. Everyone's great. Every team is awesome. Dak played fantastic, regardless of the fact that the scoring said 5 points. So, Eric, I know that the app says you win, but everyone's great and fantastic in this league. So no one fucks up. Everything's perfect. So, good job, buddy. But also kudos to me for losing so close, right? But I was mentioning when Eric was on here talking shit, which is fine. And he mentioned and commented how he's went from last place, which he did, which is pretty fun. Last place to playoffs. Truth is, he's not in the playoffs. As a reminder, the first tiebreaker is division record. So, and that's also how we do the payouts. Division record is king. So at the end of the year, if Phil has a better record than Al by one game, like right now, if Phil had the best record but Al had a better division record, Phil would get the higher seed in the playoffs, but Al would actually get the payout. So don't forget that. Looking still in the North here, Mike's hanging in there, 3-3. Which is the same as Al. So both Al and Mike are 3-3, so just a game away from first place. The problem is when you're looking at scoring, that's where Mike drops down a bit. So the good news is for Mike, he's in a good spot. The next 3 folks are both 2 and 4, so only 2 of those folks are going to take spots. So Mike's probably in by default because you got Eric. And you got Paul, which, not to beat a dead horse, is awesome. If you're in the North, you get to play those guys a couple times. But Jeff's down there lingering too. I will say, though, even though if you look at the standings, Eric is 4th, he's actually in last place. He's overall in last place in his division because he has a 1-4 division record. So, make sure you check everything before you hop on here and start talking shit, Eric, because you really made yourself look stupid because you're not only not in the playoffs, you're actually literally in last place in your division. In the South, it's fairly similar. The biggest difference is Niall's got a 2-game jump on us. Niall and Tim are 5-1. Also the highest scoring team in the division, so that's not a fluke. Hubba is right there at 4-2. I am there at 3-3. Both me and Hubba are 3-2 in the division, so it's close. He's also got me in points by a few, so that's going to be kind of. I think we both can catch Niall. All seriousness, I know that, again, everyone complains and they talk about their team. I think Niall's team is very beatable, which I think Hubba has proved. So I think one of the two, if not both of us, are going to catch Niall because the injuries are going to catch up. Hubba's got a solid quarterback, 2 of them actually. And, you know the old thing for faux reals, no QB you lose. Well, he's got 2. I have none, unfortunately, which is the biggest difference between myself and Hubba's team. So I do think Hubba could jump up, and myself included, if things fall out. But right now is got 2 games on me, and I do think I play Niall again. I'm not sure if I play Hubba again because the way the schedule shakes, you don't play everyone in your division twice. But I'm pretty sure I play Niall twice, which I'll need because he's got 2 games on me. So I definitely got to get catch up. Plus, I got to get another one against him, which would be really helpful. Also in the South. Daryl 0-3, he's won 3 straight, so good job for him. He's 3-3, 2-3 in the division, so he is really he's in that 4th playoff spot because of division record. After that, you got Dreamcocks, who are also 3-3 or 2-3. Daryl's got a little bit more points, so right now Daryl's in. Strauser is out, and Tyler's 2-4. So and 1-4 in the division, so Tyler is a week or 2 from mathematically being fucked. So that's how the standings look so far this year, and let's jump into the matchups real quick. So looking at the matchups for last week 6, we'll just get mine out of the way. Listen, Dak shit the bed, no other way around it. Jalen Hurts got some garbage fucking touchdowns against the Browns. Surprisingly, that's what fucked me. But I got 5 from Dak. If he gave me 25, I win the game. It didn't happen. So kudos to Eric. You're still in last place, buddy, but you did beat me. So there. Anything I missed on the bench? Not really. We had some players on the bye. So did Eric. Eric did get 22 from Lawrence on the bench, which I would have fucking killed for because I had Dak. So I'm moving on from Dak. Dak's on a bye this week, so I don't have a choice. But I think, I'm ready to move on from Dak overall because it's been consistently. And just a couple weeks ago, he had like 30. But I think 24 of them or 22 of the points were in the 4th quarter, like back to back to back. It was a fluke. So looking at Eric's squad here, big game from Drake London. Didn't get really much from his running backs, but Mark Andrews and then almost 15 from Tyler Lockett. That's a fucking gift. So, 13 from the kicker, which his kicker gives you double digits every week, and he pulled 13 from Pittsburgh. So Eric's team really pulled out all the stops. With me, Dak didn't show up. Amari Cooper, who's going to be a beast in Buffalo, plays with Deshaun Watson this week, so he had 6 points. Other than that, 13 from Sutton, so that was a great play for me. Almost 20 for Breece Hall, finally. Been waiting for that. Maybe the new coach change is going to keep that rolling. 15 from Kamara, but he had a couple opportunities. I saw him drop at least 3 either screens or swings out of the backfield that would have 3 catches. That's a 1.5, and each would have had 8 to 10 yards. So he dropped a few opportunities for me on Sunday. And then I had to play Ladd McConkey because of injury, so that was the other thing that kind of hurt me there. But there was no one on the bench that outscored him, so I made the right play. It's just with with Eric's Jalen Hurts getting those points at the end, those garbage touchdowns, and then his kicker and everybody showing up. Perfect storm for Eric, and he got me. So there you go. Next game, We had Strasser and Paul. So, this is a lot closer. Well, I shouldn't say a lot closer. It was a more of a higher scoring game than expected. For Strasser, at least. For Paul, he underperformed as usual. Looking at the matchups, where Paul fucked up is he left Cole Kmet on the bench. Cole Kmet had 21. He had Laporta in, so there's a 10-point difference. I mean, it wouldn't have made enough. I mean, because he lost by 38. Am I doing the math there right? Yeah, fuck. He lost by 38. And that's with Strasser getting 3 points from Sermon, 2 points from Kraft, 3 points from McLeod. But he got 38 from Caleb, 30 from Chris Godwin, and 11 and 17. So a 27 total from his running back. So, that game was over fairly early. I think Paul knew that just with the way things were going. Maybe he should have started Will Levis. I don't think it would have made much difference, but it would have been fun. Him losing Marvin Harrison in the first quarter. I mean, the game was over. And, so Strasser with the big win. And then, next game was Daryl versus Phil. I think this was the closest game of the week. Daryl did win, beat him by 5. So a very close game. Projections going in, Yahoo had it as a very close game. They projected that for Phil to win by 0.2 of a point. So Yahoo had it 105.63 for Phil and then 105.38 for Daryl. So they knew it was going to be a close game, and it was. Daryl got the dub. Big game from C.J. Stroud. Big game from A.J. Brown. Thank you, Cleveland. Tony Pollard with a big game. George Kittle with his biggest game of the year. So, Daryl's team showed up. The thing that hurt Phil and really cost him the game was Etienne down in Jacksonville. So, he was negative points. So, 0.1 points. So, if he got any play out of the flex, let's see who he had. If he'd have started Jennings or Likely or really anyone in the flex, he would have won the game, but he didn't. So he did get a huge game from Brock Purdy, and a good game from J.K. Dobbins, who's got to be front runner for comeback player of the year. You'd think, right? I know that Flacco got it last year, but although Flacco was a comeback, it's different when it's from injury. So the fact that J.K. came back from injury after injury, he's got to be the front runner. So. But Daryl took that one with Phil, but it was close, 119-114. All right, next game from last week here is we had Tyler and Mike, and it was the biggest. We had the last game we talked about was the closest game. This was the biggest blowout. Basically, it was 60 points. Tyler beat Mike by 60 points. Tyler had his best game of the year by far. Everyone hit for him. Jordan Love had nearly 35. Diggs had 16. Debo had 19. Derrick Henry had 25. Fucking Najee Harris had 19. So Romeo Doubs had 18. So perfect storm for Tyler. His team finally showed up. He needed it. He was down. So he definitely needed it. Mike was the exact opposite. He didn't leave. He had Tyler Algier on the bench and Keenan Allen on the bench, so that would have helped some. But there's not much to make Mike feel better. There's not much you could have done. You just didn't have that many points on the board. You could have started your entire bench and you still would have lost by 40. Decent game from Burrow, but he didn't play great. 6 of that or 10 of that was on a run, a fluky ass run. So 10 of the 20 was on one play. So Burrow didn't play great. Everything went to Godwin. Nothing went to Evans. Nothing that hurt Mike in the Buccaneers game. I mentioned this a couple weeks in a row. Mike's forced to play Jerome Ford. There's nothing there for him. Chubb's back this week, so he's almost unstartable. Maybe if you have to put him in the flex, he'll get a couple receptions. But the Jerome Ford as a starting running back is over. It's kind of been over all year just because the Browns are so awful. But now with Chubb back, it's Jerome Ford's basically he should probably be cut. So, but yeah, huge blowout for Tyler. Good for Tyler. Needed it. Tyler is in a spot now where he's got to win 2 or 3 in a row because either after next week or the week after, we go back to interdivision. and he's 1-4 in the division, so he can't afford to lose any more division games if he really wants a shot at the tiebreaker, which he'll need. And if there's any shot at him winning money, he's got to win league games. So he's probably got to ride the wall 3 or 4 in a row to even have a chance. All right. Next game down there was Jeff and Niall and Tim. Both teams played well. Generally 110 points, when you got bye weeks, is enough to at least have a chance to win. It was fairly close. Now beating 133-116. But overall, where Jeff hurt, he had no love from the tight end. He got 2 points from his tight end. And didn't lose much by not starting Baker. Baker had a huge fucking game, but there was about a 6-point difference in his quarterback. So not a huge difference when he played Jared Goff. But, if you get some love from the tight end and you put Baker in over Jared, you also had Madison on the bench. So you get Williams out of there, Madison in, you got the dub. So Jeff had the firepower. He just didn't have the right lineup. Looking at Niall, solid top to bottom. The only place he dips really is he had 8 points from Kincaid and 8 points from Mason. Those are his lowest scores. And when your lowest scores are in the 8s, usually you got a pretty good chance. 25 from Jaden Daniels. Big game for Scary Terry. They got a great connection there. So for him, now being a Commanders fan, it's fun to watch Jaden. And now you got Terry, who's a Buckeye. So, and they're on your fantasy team. So fun times for Niall and Tim. Tim's a Steelers fan, so fuck that guy. But fun times for Niall. Another big game from the kicker. I don't think Niall's had less than 10 from his kicker all year. So fun there. And then looking at the benches, again, Jeff kind of missed out a couple things, but there were some points left on the bench for. Actually, no. You're looking at Niles. He had no one under 8. So let me see. The only thing Niall could have done is if he'd have started Josh Allen, he'd have had 3 points more. So, top to bottom, Niles' team pretty much showed up and played out. Jeff's played well, but just not good enough to beat Niall. So now moves on, stays 5-1, and now Jeff's down there with Paul and Eric, which isn't fun. I mean, it's fun for us, not so much for Jeff, or probably Paul and Eric. I don't know. Maybe they like having company that's not each other. All right, and the last game from last year was Al and Hubba. Al won. I'm sorry, Hubba won. Now Al was also the dog. Final was 126-100, so a 25-point win for Hubba. Which is big. He got 0. Actually, got -1 from Olave. I don't know if I think Olave's out this week. I think he ruled him out already. Pretty sure they did. So we'll have to see what he does for next week. But top to bottom, Hubba's team showed up. Decent game from Lamar Jackson, which is good because Kirk Cousins didn't really do a ton this week, so he made a good play there. Nothing from DJ Moore, but big game from Bijan Robinson. Another big game from Montgomery there in Detroit. And then the huge game from Mixon. Mixon back off that injury. He's been playing really well. I think he's played a lot better this year than he has the last 2 or 3 years in Cincinnati. So kind of a resurgence for Mixon. So that was a big get for Hub. And again, another 12 points from his kicker. Hubba and Niles specifically and Eric are just consistently getting big numbers from their kicker. So, Al got 12. He's anti-kicker. So, like I said last week, you should have just benched him to prove a point. It wouldn't have mattered. You lost by 26. So, if you would have just took one for the team to prove a point, you would have still lost, and it wouldn't hurt you none. But you chickened out. Looking at his team overall, the biggest thing is Kyler Murray is back to being Kyler Murray. He lost Harrison in the first quarter, which doesn't help, but it doesn't matter. Kyler Murray's just going to run around and fucking just run. So, he's going to have 12-point games most games of the year. And then once or twice he'll have 25, 30 because he'll run and get a couple tutties. So that's the only concern with Al in the North is that points-wise he's there. But when it comes down to playoff time, can you trust Kyler Murray to consistently put up 20+? I don't think you can. Let's see where else he slacked. Saquon ran into the buzzsaw Cleveland Browns defense and only put up 6 points. So that's another place where Al, surprisingly, because the fucking Commanders ran all over us. We do have a good defense, but I wouldn't want to be there either. If I'm a Browns player, I'm like, do I really want to tackle Saquon's big ass? Nah, fucking I'm good. But no, they showed up, held him like 70 yards, no touchdowns. But that significantly hurt Niall. And then Garrett Wilson did give him 20, but that's going to change. I think Garrett Wilson, his targets are going to drop. I think Aaron Rodgers loves Davante Adams. He's going to force it Davante. So whoever has Davante going forward is going to be in a pretty good spot, I think. So, but yeah, final score 126-120. Hubble with another big win to stay in second place in the South and be right there within striking distance. All right, so let's jump and look at this week. So, looking at this week, still doing interconference. So I had a 2-game stretch where I played Paul and Eric. I fucking dog shit against Eric. It can't happen again. It won't happen again. I don't know. I don't think I'm starting a defense. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing at quarterbacks. I have 3 on my roster. So I'm at the point now where I don't want to cut anybody until I know what I'm doing. I'm starting Stafford this week only because Aaron Rodgers is playing Pittsburgh and has got a solid D. But I do have Davante Adams, so I want to see if that connection is hit. So I'll probably play this without a defense because Paul's team's so bad. And I'm still projected to win by 20. So won't jump into this to a ton because it's going to be a bloodbath. But for me, I got a really interesting lineup at this point. I need some things to happen for it to be scary. So I got a Cooper, which is now he's with easily a top 2 or 3 quarterback in the league, depending on who you ask. So that's going to be huge. Davante's now with the Jets. He's got a quarterback that loves to throw it deep. So him and Aaron Rodgers. So now I got Davante and Cooper. But on the flip side, because of the trades, that opens up now. I got Jerry Jeudy on the bench, who is the number 1 receiver for Cleveland. Unfortunately, it's Cleveland, so he's unplayable. I also got Njoku, who is playable when you need a tight end because there's not a ton of consistently high-scoring tight ends. I mean, I have one already. It's Brock Bowers, so I don't play him a ton. Njoku's not unplayable, but Judy's almost there. My only hope is that, like, Deshaun Watson gets arrested this week or dies or falls or dies, and they have to put in Jameis Winston, and then Judy becomes playable. So if you're looking at my lineup top to bottom, I'm kind of building for a playoff run. I need some things to work in my favor. But it could be really, really fun for me. The exact opposite for Paul, as far as the future and fun and success, there'll be none of that this year for Paul. Right now, he's starting. You add his running backs together, and they're projecting a total of 9 points. Marvin Harrison's questionable. It's concussion protocol, so it's one of those things where you just don't know. But right now, he's starting Marvin Harrison. If you look at his bench, I mean, he's got a lot of bye weeks. The only playable, playable is relative. I mean, he could play D-Hop, but not a wise play with Levis. But he could play Pickens. So, I mean, he does have a playable receiver if Marvin Harrison can't go. But, overall, my team, if I can get 15 from Stafford, I'll win by 30. All right. Let's jump down to the next game. Next game is Phil and Strawser. So Yahoo has this marked as a close game. Yahoo thinks it's going to be 109, 101. So Phil is an 8-point favorite. Looking at the matchups, it's going to come down to if Pat Mahomes can score 20 plus. If Pat Mahomes can't get over 20, which I don't think he's done all year, or maybe not since week 1, Phil's going to get an easy win here. You're looking at the matchups. I like Phil's matchup just about everywhere, with the exception of Godwin. So I'll take Purdy over Mahomes this week. I will take Godwin on Strawser's side over DK Metcalf. But if you look at every other, I like Gibbs and Dobson's over Taylor. I know Taylor's back, but he's questionable. Is he going to get all the touches? Who knows? Kenneth Walker's streaky. So, top to bottom, Cooper Kupp's coming back for Phil. Well, I said they're trending for him to play. I think he's playing, so that's a big get for Phil. But the biggest thing is Pat Mahomes hasn't played. I mean, I think the Chiefs have played really well, but fantasy-wise, Pat Mahomes hasn't done shit. I think that continues, especially against San Fran, and Phil gets an easy win. All right, next game. It's a fun game. It's Jeff and Tyler, so that's always fun. 2 guys that like to play, like to talk shit. Tyler's in a down spot. He did get a big win, his biggest win of the year last year. And he's got Chubb coming back, which, is fun for everybody. If you're a football fan and you're not excited to see Nick Chubb play, you're actually not a football fan. So, but for Tyler, it's big because Tyler's got him in the lineup. So looking at the matchups, Yahoo has Jeff as a 13-point dog. So Yahoo's thinking 107.91 for Tyler. Looking at the matchups, I think Jeff's got a chance, depending on, I love the, and I'll get the Baker bro thing, but love the Baker play. He is playing against Baltimore though. Let's see who you got. Do you have another choice? No, you cut golf, so he must be on the bye. No, he's not on the bye. But anyways, you got Baker, but he's going against Baltimore's D, so that's kind of hit or miss. But then Jordan Love in Houston's not a guaranteed hit either, so I think that's going to be very close. But I do think Baker can outscore Jordan Love. And when you look at the receivers, though, that's where Tyler's got a great advantage. Tyler's rolling out there, Stephon Diggs and Justin Jefferson against T. Higgins and Zay Flowers. So the problem with the T. Higgins play is he is playing the Browns. The Browns have a solid defense. He's not the first option. And for whatever reason, the Browns always play the Bengals really. In fact, they always beat them. I think they've won 8 out of the last 10 or 7 out of the last 10 against the Bengals. And it's primarily because our defense just locks them down. So I don't love the Higgins play on this week. Could be wrong. It's the Browns, so he may have 4 touchdowns. You just never know. But matchup-wise, I definitely prefer the Diggs and Jefferson over T. Higgins and Zay Flowers. Looking at the running backs, Derrick Henry's been balling out. That's going to keep going on. Derrick Henry will give you – I think Derrick Henry's going to be close to 20 pretty easy. And Yahoo's only got Nick Chubb getting 8. Ain't fucking happening. The Browns are so fucking bad. The only thing they can do to keep that stadium from burning down is feeding Chubb. He's going to get goal line carries if we get there. But I think Chubb, he may not get 20 carries, but he's going to get the carries that matter. So if we're in the red zone or close to the red zone or anywhere near scoring, I think they're going to just stuff it down Chubb's throat, because a touchdown from Chubb will get the crowd happy and make us forget, at least for a while, how fucking awful it is to be a Browns fan. So I do think Chubb has a chance to have a big game in spite of Stefanski's play calling, because he's fucking Batman. I'm not going to look at the rest of the matchup. I don't give a fuck about it. I'm taking Tyler because of Nick Chubb. That's the answer. That's what's going to happen. Tyler by 20. All right, next game. So this is a fun one. The 2 high-scoring teams in the league finally are playing. So you got Now and Al going head-to-head. Yahoo has it as a close game, but they're actually having Niles a 3-point dog. Looking at the matchups, again, for Al, it's strictly going to come down to Kyler Murray. Everything else is fairly close. Looking at the matchups here, they both have running backs that are kind of questionable playing. They're both playing tight ends that are questionable. So very close across the board. They both got good high-scoring kickers. I know Al hates that, but he does have a good high-scoring kicker, so he needs them. But the biggest difference in this game is going to be Kyler Murray and Jaden Daniels. And Jaden's playing Carolina. So I need Al to step up. I need Kyler Murray to step up against the Chargers and have a big game. I'm not super optimistic. So I will take Nile for the upset, but strictly because of Jaden Daniels. I think everything else matchups really is really, really well matched up. It is going to be a close game, but I just trust Jaden Daniels more to score, especially against the Panthers at this point, than I do Kyler Murray. And I think Kyler Murray might be without Marvin Harrison. He's still questionable, so who knows? So that could be a problem too. So matchup wise, Yahoo is with Al. I'm taking Now, unfortunately. I do need Now to get another L, but I'll get him in again this year, so I'll catch him up that way. But I do think be close, but I will take Nile for the upset. And next game down here is the last place team in the South against Daryl. So you got Eric and Daryl. Matchup wise, again, Yahoo has it close. They have Eric is a 6-point dog. Looking at the matchups, I don't see a scenario where Eric can pull this off. I think Stroud outscores Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts plays like shit against the Giants. The Giants D's solid. They got a good pass rush. He looked like shit. He looked like dog shit. I mean, I know he had a couple late fucking bullshit touchdowns against the Browns, but I mean, I think they scored 16 or 18. I don't know. We almost won the game. But Jalen Hurts is CJ Stroud is going to outperform him, so that's one for Daryl. And then looking at the wide receivers, that's close. I mean, I do like Drake London and Neighbors, but I I'll give the nod to the receivers to Eric, but running backs is absolutely going to Daryl. You got Pollard and Williams against Singletary and Robinson, both dinged up and questionable. So that's going to be the difference. Is I think the Stroud's going to outscore Hurts significantly, and the running backs are going to be enough to hold it off for Daryl. So Daryl will get the win, and we'll continue our dominance against the North. And then the last game of the week here, it's Hubba and Mike's, another fun matchup. Again, Yahoo's predicting a close game. They have Hubba as a 3-point dog. I do need some love here, Mike. So if you could step up and do something, that'd be great. So I can catch up with Hubba a little bit. But again, looking at the matchups, I know Yahoo has them as a dog, but unfortunately, I'm leaning towards Hubba in this one. I love the matchup of Lamar over Joe Burrow. Again, I said it. Joe Burrow is kind of fake news. He's playing the Browns, which he hasn't done well. I think he's 1-4 against the Browns, and he has picks in every game. So I'll take Lamar Jackson in that one. Receivers, yeah, that's definitely going to go to Mike, assuming the Baker. Baker, some games he favors Evans, other games he favors Godwin. So it was Godwin last week, so I think it might be Evans this week. But when you go running backs, I love Hubba's running backs over, Aaron Jones is dinged up. So, there's play there for Mike. But overall, I do think Hubba, again, gets the upset. It's close. But I think I'll take Hub by 2 or 3. It's gonna be a game on Monday night where they have any Monday players. It's gonna be a game where Dicker the kicker is gonna win the game for Hubba on Monday night, I believe. So those are the matchups for the week. That's what we got going on this week. Parlays have been shit. I think I've lost. I just counted 14 consecutive parlays. Now some of those are Mandy's, but most of them are mine. She did do a parlay, the little Mandy 6-pack. She was 5-1 last week. The Broncos was the only game that cost her $250. So she has refused to pick the Broncos for a while. But so she did pretty good last week, 5-1. This week, again, a very winnable 10-1 parlay. So 5 will win you 50. She took all money line, Jaguars, Bills, Eagles, Commanders, Chiefs, and Colts. So a couple big favorites in there. So not the hugest payout parlay wise, but a quick 10-1, not bad. So if you're looking for an easy bet or fun bet, jump on that one. And we do probably need to talk about our tailgate parlay. It's fucking awful. Listen, I didn't lose last week, but I did lose the week before. I picked a top 10 team to cover. I think they were dogs. They were a top 10 team playing an unranked team, and they were 3-point underdogs. It's like, all right, there's something there, but I'm going to take them. And they lost by 30, talking about Missouri. So because of that, it now justifies all the dumb shit Eric does. So last week, there were probably 7 solid college games. And at 11 o'clock in the morning, before they all start, this motherfucker opens his app and says, you know what? I'm taking Ball State. Who the fuck bets on Ball State unless you go to Ball State? Unless you are on the fucking team. Nobody bets on Ball State. No one bets against Ball State. No one bets the game. It's a MAC game. It's not like Ball State was going to the shoe and they're playing Ohio State, which is going to be an obvious blowout. They were playing a team within the MAC. It was the second I saw that fucking pick, I knew we were cooked. So I'm asking all the folks that joined the tailgate parlay, we got to get fucking Eric under control. This is like the third time he's done it this year. It's the third time. Now he's won a couple bets. He'll come back he'll get on the group chat, and just like everybody else that complains about what I say, he'll complain too. But it's not that you lose. It's that you don't. You just open your app like, fuck it, Ball State. What? Why? Why Ball State? I want an answer. What made you think, I think Ball State's going to cover? Is it their quarterback? Do you know his name? Can you tell me if he's white or black? Do you know anything about, do you even know what state Ball State's in? I would be willing to bet you 2-1 without Google. You don't fucking know what state they're in. So that's going to be a new rule. If you can't tell me the location of the fucking school, we're not accepting the bet in the parlay. I think that's fair. I think that's reasonable. Tyler does this shit sometimes too. He'll pick a weird ass game, random game, but at least I've heard of the teams. I know where they're at. I mean, I know where Ball State's at, but I'm confident without Google, Eric doesn't know where Ball State's located. So, but yeah, we got to get that under control. We've lost every time. I mean, I cashed out once. So that's really not a win, but we did get some money, me and Paul, because we outsmarted everybody. But my balance is dwindling. I have not put money into my DraftKings ever, other than my very first. My very, very first. I think I put in $50 because they matched or something. And I've been playing on that for 2.5, 3 years. It was up to $350 earlier this year. It's down to like $89. Now again, some of those are Mandy. She's lost every parlay. The first 2 weeks I did $10 for, and then these last few weeks have been 5. So 40 of it's Mandy, 50 of it's Mandy, but the rest is Eric. The rest is absolutely Eric. So, and Tyler. So that's it. Paul, I'm leaning on you, buddy. You gotta be forceful when your brother does dumb shit. Let's look at DraftKings real quick, and I'll just go ahead and tell you. That's a good idea. I'll tell you who you can't pick, Eric. Let's see here. All right, we're going to go home. We're going to go to college football. Okay, the first game that pops up is Marshall versus Georgia State. He's going to want to pick Georgia State because they're 8-point dogs. That's the shit he does. I'll take Georgia. I'll take the over. Well, the over's 51.5. Yeah, I'll take the over. Well, why? Do they have like really good? I mean, is there something I'm missing? Do they have like a really good player we don't know about? Oh, okay. If they do, why are they at Marshall or Georgia State? But yeah, so you can't pick that game, Eric. Let me see. Is there anything else that I don't want you to pick on? Actually, some pretty decent games this week to pick on, but like he'll come in here and he'll want to pick the Army. So Army and East Carolina. He'll be like, you know what? I'll take the over in the Army East Carolina game, but for no reason. I mean, there's he has no insight or information that makes sense. Like, could anyone on this that's watching this or that's in the group chat confidently say, "Oh, I think fucking Army is going to score 52 points combined with East Carolina"? Absolutely not. You don't know shit about the teams. You don't watch the games. So, got to get better. Got to get under control because I got to get a dub because I don't want to put more money in. I don't want to be end of the year fucking like, our friends in this league that look at their fucking numbers like, holy shit, I'm down like a couple $1,000 because of fucking Eric. So, and Tyler. I don't want Tyler to look. He's done it a couple times too with fucking awful picks. I saved him last week, by the way. 2 weeks in a row. Actually, it might be 3 weeks in a row, but he'll conveniently leave that out. Mine hit last week. Well, it was a push, but it didn't lose. So, it was strictly Eric. So, all right, that's what I got this week. Going to Niagara Falls, which I've never done. So we'll see if that's fun. I'll probably spend way more money than I should because everyone says it's a tourist trap and it's expensive. So going to go see some waterfalls. And on the way back, I'll basically be driving through Cleveland on the way home. So I was looking at tickets yesterday. I don't really love the idea of taking Mandy to a Browns game because it doesn't interest me in any way, shape, or form to take her to a game, let alone the Browns-Bengals game, especially one that could be fucking very ugly. But I do want to see Chubb come back, and tickets, nosebleeds are like $50. They might go down. So there's a scenario where if we're leaving Niagara Falls Sunday morning and the tickets are really cheap, maybe I snatch a couple. I go watch the first half and see Chubb fucking come out and dominate for a little bit and then hit the road before the game's over. So unlikely but possible. But other than that, I will be home in time to see Chubb get called onto the field. The crowd will go crazy. They'll take him out 3 plays later, and every fucking fan will boo for 20 minutes until he comes back in. So should be fun. So enjoy the weekend. Tailgate parlay. Let's get it in Friday so we don't fucking lose points. That's the other thing we do. We wait till the last minute and all the odds change, and we end up losing a half point here, point there, and it makes a difference. So take a look at DraftKings, make your pick. Let's try to do it Friday evening. So, but until then, keep it faux real, faux life.